Greetings and good evening. Welcome to the Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, September the 16th, 2025. Boss, welcome, Savant. I am Drew, and I am one of the two co-hosts of the best live sports talk show all across the internet in 2025 and beyond. Welcome to tonight's episode of the Roundtable, where we recap weeks 2 and week 3 of the NFL and the NCAA. And boy, when I say this 2025 season has started off with a bang. The first 2 weeks where you've had nail biters, you've had massive comebacks, you've had shockers all across the college football landscape and the NFL. We have not been disappointed in these first 2 weeks, and I cannot wait to talk about each and every one of these games on this night. First and foremost, welcome to the Roundtable family. Thank you for those of you that are joining us on Facebook Live, for those of you that are joining us on YouTube Live, and of course, for those of you that are joining us live on TikTok. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the engagement that we are getting ready to have. And yes, we are going to highlight some of these overrated teams, overrated possible players, and see how the next couple of months are going to unfold based on some of the key injuries that we have had happen here in just the first couple of weeks of the NFL and the first few weeks of the NCAA season. I cannot wait to get at it, so let's get after it. My brother Griff, my man, how we doing on this fine evening? How is everything going on?
Hey man, doing good, my brother. As always, man. The weather's nice here. Had a great weekend. My Cowboys won, Alabama won, so I was able to sleep good this weekend, and the book keep on doing what it do. And if you ain't got your book yet, as you can see it over there to the side, don't talk about it, be about it. Holler at your boy. Let's get started, my brother.
Best-selling author, the CBSA, and I look forward to some of that CBSA analysis tonight, even though it might be fluffed. You said you were happy. You said you were happy that your Cowboys won. We're gonna get to that game in a little bit, but let us begin with the rematch that was Super Bowl 59, where you had the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Arrowhead Jihad Stadium to take on the defending AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City coming into this game 0-1 after a tough opening season loss against a division rival in the Los Angeles Chargers, who look like they just might be very formidable in January, by the way. Hosting Philly, who blew them out just 6 short months ago, if we all remember back to 59. And Philly looked very similar, same scheme. This game turned out how I thought it would turn out, being that it was going to be a much closer game, even though that Kansas City came in a little bit hobbled. But Philly is Philly, and there are certain things that Philly does that no team has yet to figure out. Griff, I know you were a little surprised. You thought Philly was going to have a little bit more of a little breathing room and space in the fourth quarter, like some of our brethren in the chat predicted on Friday night about resting players early in the fourth quarter. There's going to be a double-digit victory. Were you surprised as to how, I won't say how well Kansas City showed up based on their limited weapons, but how close this game ended up being? And could Kansas City come out of this 0-2 hole with something to look forward to? Because you remember me mentioning possible 1-4 by the beginning of October. Is that still something that's likely, or does Kansas City bounce back after this loss?
No, I still think it's likely that they come out the exact way you just said, man. This is a different year. Last year they could have actually been in the same boat based off the way they played. This year with all the injuries that they have, all the key pieces being missed, man, it's they just happen to be playing an Eagles team that yeah, they numbers are not flashy, but they just always figure out a way to win. Like I said last week, the Mike Tyson effect of the Chiefs is just not there no more. Nobody afraid of them. Patrick Mahomes to do his thing here and there, but they lack their inability to be able to run the ball with their receivers missing. Travis Kelce had some bright spots in this game, but again, when you don't have that Mike Tyson effect no more, you don't get them calls from the officials you normally get either. I think the torch has been passed on to the team that beat them this weekend, and that's just my take on it, Drew. I still see them coming out like you just said, possibly 1-4 at the end of this run here.
No, you're right. You're right. And just quick shout out to everybody in the chat. Troy said, "Don't start none, won't beat none." Bro, we're about to get in knee deep into that South Kakalaki Gamecock meltdown here in about 35, 45 minutes. So if you got something to do, go cool yourself off and come back. Shout out to Miles. Hey, Chief Kingdom all the way. I understand y'all are starting off slow. Cowboys once started off 0-2 and came back and won the Super Bowl that very same year. So there is always hope. Keep hope alive. And Fred, my man, Mr. Fly, Eagles Fly. Once upon a time, you were the loudest supporter and cheerleader for Patrick Mahomes, but I got it. We are where we are. This is 2025 and things happen. People change. I get to change my mind. The Eagles, I'm still not impressed with where we are projecting them to be at the end of the season and whether or not they are going to be the best team in the NFC come January. Can Kansas City bounce back? Of course they can bounce back. They have the best quarterback in the National Football League. Word they could be back this weekend, so that opens up the possibility of the deep threat as compared to how limited Kansas City has been on their options here in the past couple of weeks in these past two games. Both of these games were one-score games. They could be 1-4, 1-5 at the end of the month, but at the same time, those one-score games are games they are comfortable playing because they've been playing one-score games for the past several years. It's not like they the tier way above everyone else. It's just that they've been very good, very lucky, and had the 12th man in their hip pocket at times to aid them in getting those dubs. And the first couple of weeks, it has not worked out that way for them. I still think that it's going to be a struggle for them, but they have a easier game this upcoming weekend, depending on how you look at it. So we shall see what the Chiefs are really made of, with or without Worthy, and whether or not they can establish a legitimate running game with Pachinko and not rely on the legs of Patrick Mahomes. And when Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher, you got problems. Fix it, Andy Reid. We shall see. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, man, I BS you not. This was one of the most exciting games in years for me, specifically because of the fourth quarter. How do we win championships, Griff?
Defense wins championships.
But we're not worried about that in this game, right? Because defense decided to run when the fourth quarter started.
Hey, you win by having a kicker that can kick damn near 70 yards.
Where did y'all find Mr. Aubrey? Y'all are lucky, man. So what about them Cowboys, man? How about them Cowboys?
Hey,
Is your defense a representation of what we saw in week one, or is your defense a representation of what we saw in week two, where Russ not only cooked, but he filleted
it's
450 yards and 3 touchdowns? Forget that last interception. That was
yeah.
desperation. That's how I won. But what's up with your defense, man?
Man, again, man, I would hope by this time we'll stop having the Michael Parsons conversation, but it's
I didn't
it's
say anything
obvious.
about
No. I'm talking. I ain't talking about us. I'm talking about just people talking about it. Period. All you gotta do is look at any sports show, and that's what they'll continue to say about that secondary. Let me tell you, everybody's secondary suck if you don't have a pass rush. If a quarterback can just sit back and just throw the ball, I don't care who you got over there on that other side because the offensive player is always going to be at an advantage over the defensive player. It was the only time we really got a pass rush on Russ was when he threw that last interception. And that went up for a hope and a prayer. But all the other times, man, Russ just sat back and just slung the ball. Trayvon Diggs don't look like he is, fully recovered from his injury. He got burnt several times. It's obvious the run bland is not there right now, man. Dak is playing at probably one of the, you talk about almost his MVP run right now, just in the 2 years, how he did 2 years ago in his MVP run, as far as how he throwing the ball or whatever. You can keep on with that look, but it's the truth. I'm just keeping it real.
No, you're right, man. You're right. Because
And at some point, we have to realize, I know CeeDee Lamb is the man that we paid all the money, but that other guy on the other side, Pickens, that's the threat. You want to open up opportunities for CeeDee Lamb, start getting the ball to Pickens. Pickens going to do, it's one or two things going to happen with Pickens. He catching the ball or he going to get a pass interference call because he know how to get them pass interference call because, hell, he pulled the defender into him every time. The running game looked nice on the, I love what I see on the offensive side of the ball. It is the defensive side of the ball that we got to figure something out. I mean, we done went and got Clowney 10 years too late, if you ask me. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, the Clowney that we got, that they making a noise about, is not the Clowney that came into the league. That's all I'm going to say.
no.
Yeah, that secondary, man, we got to figure out something, man. But that secondary definitely sucking. I hope Deron Bland come back quick. And I've never been a Diggs. And Diggs come from the University of Alabama, but I've never been a big fan. He capitalized on Michael Parsons being that guy that forced quarterbacks to throw the ball early, and he just happened to be in the right place. But no team is afraid of Trayvon Diggs. It was clearly shown this weekend because Russ was tearing him up.
That he was. So let me start with Dakota Wayne Prescott. You are right. He is one of the top 5 passing leaders in the National Football League. Matter of fact, he's ranked number 5 with like 550 something yards. You know who's number 1 though? Russell Wilson. Same.
Oh yeah, after this game.
I got it. But
they were going to fire Russ. They wanted they off with his head, off with Russ' head after the first game. Most of
them receivers from LSU be putting up numbers in the NFL. That's all I'm gonna say. Malik Neighbors was just like, bruh, Alabama what? Alabama who? He tore Trayvon Diggs but to shreds. And you're right, Mr. Aubrey did save y'all at the end of the fourth quarter and that game-winning kick. Does Dallas's defense actually look like what we saw in week 2 or what we saw in week 1? In my opinion, it's a happy medium, right? Clowney is not going to have much of an impact, in my opinion, but you do have the run defense in place. You don't have that back 4 in place. And depending on your opponent, if you are able to make it a deep run into the season and stay healthy, because your offense is going to be legit. You're right about that. George Pickens is going to be someone that you're going to have to contend with once he really locks in and focuses on making an effort on every single play. So the offense is going to be able to put up points. It's whether or not that defense can stop enough passing teams to keep Dallas competitive, because we're going to see a lot of high scoring games with Dallas this year. It's going to y'all are definitely going to be the 2025 version of the Cincinnati Bengals for me. All right, so let us move on to the next game, man. That was played and frustrating for me, even though the end result did not reflect how piss poor managed this game was for me. We were actually texting each other, me, you, and Jordan, live during the game about how terrible play calling the Ravens were executing. And I want to identify one specific sequence was after Lamar Jackson threw a bomb to D-Hop where he thought he had scored, but he was called down on the 1 foot line. The 1 foot line, and Derrick Henry was healthy. Baltimore decided to throw 3 consecutive passes. 3 consecutive passes after getting a false start on second down. I understand your frustration now, Jordan. I understand your frustration now. I understand your frustration with the play calling. We've been calling about the coaching being a problem, especially on the offensive side here over the past couple of years for the Baltimore Ravens. And it's going to come back to bite you again. You and Karen are going to be it just pulling your hair out in January. But Baltimore did ultimately win because Baltimore is the better team. Griff, coaching, Baltimore. Is this going to be an issue for them this year, you believe? Because I know that was the poll question last show, and we're going to talk about that later.
And it continues to be a problem, man. It continues to be a problem. The Browns won in every stat except one in the scope, and that's crazy. I mean, better quarterback play from that side of the ball as far as you go back and look at the numbers and stuff. But it seems like every week we had these same conversations about the Ravens and the play calling and the things, the decisions that they make at times that seem like a no brainer. Like you said, you're on the 1 yard line. You know what, Drew? It didn't even have to be Derrick Henry in that backfield. It could have been anybody in that backfield. We running the ball. If that didn't look like the Seahawks, if that didn't look like the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, you got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, and you want to throw the ball. It just don't make sense to me, man. I think it's time for a change of the guard up in the Ravens, and I know a lot of the Ravens fans are saying the same thing. Yes, you beat the Browns, but it wasn't pretty. The Browns,
No.
the Browns really beat themselves in so many areas. I mean, when the Browns got more rushing yards than the Ravens, come on now, talk to
When
me.
you literally have two of the top five runners in the history of the National Football League on your team in their prime. The Ravens, I got enough of them.
Yeah,
Congratulations. We'll see. We'll see when we talk about them at the end of the show whether or not they can fix what needs to be fixed in just a week. All right, but the next game, my guy, Joe just can't stay healthy. Man. Joe just can't stay healthy. That is my guy, man. Joe just cannot stay healthy to save his life. I got it. It's the whole Rob Peter to pay Paul concept as it pertains to who do we pay, who do we give all of the money to, because we need this, but we also need that. We've never had this. We know we've never had this, and Joe is the prized pupil, but we still, if I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, still are at the bottom of the barrel in the NFL as it pertains to the offensive line efficiency, effectiveness, protection, any category. They're always at the bottom. And yet again, it has come back to bite them. And they've lost their quarterback for most likely the rest of the year because of a toe injury that requires surgery. And it's going to be gone for at least 3 months. And depending on their record, you might as well say that if they're not in the playoff hunt, well, he's done for the year. So, man, they're not going to be the worst best team in 2025. I can guarantee you that. Jamar's still going to shine. T. Higgins still going to shine. The offense is still going to put up points, but Browning is not Joe, and Joe is the guy. Man, you got any sympathy for my Cincinnati Tigers? I mean, LSU Bengals.
he says Cincinnati Tigers. Hey man, hey, they still had the reason why they boy hurt is because they still had a problem we've been talking about the last couple of years. The offensive line sucked.
Yeah,
Defense, again, they just happen to be playing sunshine them over there who still really trying to figure out who they are in the process as well. So uh,
true that.
I don't think they, like you said, they won't be the best worst team this year.
No.
Especially with him being gone as long as he had, I prognosticate some losses in the Bengals' future here in the near
Yeah,
future.
I'd say 7, 7 and 10, maybe 8, 9 if they're lucky, simply because of Joe's injury and absence. But hey, it is what it is. Bengals, sorry for you, but you did it to yourself once again. Let us move on to the next game that kind of shocked me a little bit because, man, I have not given Danny Dimes any credit for anything for ever because Danny Dimes has not earned any credit for anything ever, being the number 6 pick coming out of Duke way back when. Still scratching my head about that one. Didn't understand it then, don't understand it now. but Danny Dimes has led the Indianapolis Colts to a 2-0 start. That's impressive. That's impressive because those first two games were not cakewalks. But the offense is the most efficient offense in the National Football League. They have yet to punt in either one of the first two games.
Man, I would love to be the punter on that team getting that paycheck.
Getting that paycheck, right? What's my man name? I forget. Whatever. Anyways, how surprised are you with the Colts, man, and their early season success? And are they the early season favorites, even though Houston is 0-2? Are they
And
the
they
early season favorites to take the AFC South?
in their division, based off how they've been playing, man. I mean, yeah, this kind of like with the Danny Dimes situation. You know how some soldiers they don't excel in certain organizations, and then once they go to another organization, it seems like the stars and the moon line up, and that's what's happening with the coach right now. As far as he came into a situation that better fits him, man, and as much as the hard time and the grief we done gave him, he showed what it is when you hang in there and you bet on yourself, you can show people. I don't want to like anoint him right now, but based off of how that team has performed in that division. I mean, they the favorites for that division. I won't say for the AFC, but definitely for that division. Because you just mentioned the Houston Texans, man. As much as I pull for D'Amico and his team, man, they still got issues, bro. And so right now, the way the coach is playing, they played one of the better defensive teams within their division and was able to go toe to toe with them. I don't see them having no issues in that division.
Well, the chase for the division, I'll leave that for a later day. But how impressed was I because they did play against the Broncos? They did beat the Broncos in the wonkiest of fashions. A last second field goal that wasn't a field goal, but then a penalty was called, and then a re-kick and game winning field goal and whatnot. So congratulations to them on that awesome start. But you talked about the perfect fit for Daniel Jones being in the current system, right? Baker Mayfield, perfect example. Sam Darnold, perfect example. Right, you're getting that rebirth of your career. Geno Smith, perfect example. So it is how I get to progress and not getting thrown into the fire coming into the NFL as a rookie for most of these young quarterbacks because they're not given the time to develop, and you hurt them more than you help them by
Yeah.
playing them early. So that's why Russ is cooking the way Russ is cooking. And
Hey Drew, before we move on, man, since we did get through a couple, you bring up a good point because a lot of these teams here in the last couple of years, they've been trying to get a return on investment,
mm-hmm.
bringing these kids straight out of college and putting them out there, and that's what happened with Danny John. We put him out there too soon instead of sitting back and learning from somebody, and I'm starting to see a lot of teams starting to gravitate back to that direction where these guys is coming after they sat back for a while like the Jordan Love and stuff like that, behind somebody and learn.
Right.
They starting to have, now they starting to come out. Sam Donald, man, we wrote him off a long time ago.
For real, right?
Gino, everybody had did the exact same thing, and it just required them to gain that experience. So you bring up a good point there.
Yeah, and it's not just because I'm the number one pick that makes me a actual generational talent. I still need to learn. That generational talent comes only once in a generation, i.e., Jaden Daniels, i.e., Joe Burrow if he's healthy, i.e., Lamar Jackson if he stays healthy, or Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes in this era, right? Every team can't have that number one quarterback that is going to come out right out the gate and live up to the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Arch Manning. All right, so let us move on to the next game. We talked about new face in a new place and having an impact. This game completely shocked me. Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks and O'Donnell, I believe the head coach's name is, went into the Steel Nation, a place where I did not believe that the Steelers could get beat so handedly and hung not only 31 points on them, but that's that's still a defense looking like a Cincinnati defense. What's going on with the Steelers defense, man? Why are they struggling early on in the season?
You get rid of a guy like Mika Fitzpatrick, let him go back to Miami. You gotta watch that's not a spring chicken like he was, and some of those other people, man. And again, that steel curtain, with that mean coming scared defense type, people don't see that no more. I didn't expect the game to be like this because of how I seen Pittsburgh play against the Jets. I thought it was going to be a better performance than this, but hey, teams like Seattle, the ones that we wrote off because of who the quarterback is, like a Sam Darnold, we kind of like think, okay, this might be a walk in the park because they got one of the, a future Hall of Famer over there with the Steelers. But I'm telling you, man, you always say Mike Tomlin know how to figure out a way to have a winning season, but I prognosticate again, and you can go ahead and say this date, Jordan. I don't see the Steelers having a winning season this year, and I say that early in the season because they just got by the Jets, and this right here to the Seahawks, who I don't consider to be that great of a team still yet. It's still a verdict is out on them. Yeah, the Steelers is going to be a long season for Steeler Nation.
Well, Cincinnati just lost their quarterback. Cleveland, Joe is good, but he is 40. Whether or not his health stays up for 17 games, suspect. Then you have two rookie quarterbacks that every defensive coordinator is just going to unleash blitzes on to completely shake them up. So I don't foresee Cleveland being competitive in the division. Baltimore should better win the division. Pittsburgh can hang around and be in that wild card discussion. Now, whether or not Aaron Rodgers, another 40-plus-year-old spring chicken, remains healthy and is able to establish a Pittsburgh offense that can keep Pittsburgh consistently above 24 points, unlike what they showed on Sunday, then I think Pittsburgh should still be good enough to make it to 9-8 at least. Now, whether or not they are competitive enough depends on that defense and Hayward staying healthy and T.J. Watt staying healthy and Mike Tomlin fixing what is ailing them early on in the season. Because right now, this is not the Pittsburgh defense that we all know and either love or fear from years past. We shall see what the Steelers Nation got going forward. The next one, this was a surprise for me. Not that Atlanta went into Minnesota and won, but how Atlanta went into Minnesota and won. And Minnesota looking like, well, your rookie of the year may got a lot more growing pains than we may have thought, especially now that he may be out for a couple of games, maybe a month. We shall see. Griff, you know the Atlanta Falcons pretty well. You don't like the Atlanta Falcons like I don't like the Atlanta Falcons. Does Atlanta have a shot to sneak up and be very, very good? Not only compete for the division, but actually have an impact in the NFC with Mr. Penix Jr. leading the way.
I don't see that.
You don't see that?
Again, in your division, we already, that conversation we have about your division, it don't take much to come out there and be in the playoff. But what I will say, the Falcons, one of the things that I seen them do this week that they didn't do last week, they got Bijan Robinson more involved in the game. And you get him more involved in the game, guess what happened? I'm a firm believer, especially with the talent that kid has, because he's not just a runner. He's also dangerous as a receiver out the backfield, and he create opportunities that just not there. That defense, they put that heat. That's all I seen. That I mean, McCarthy he just got drugged that night as well, and he still looked like he's seeing ghosts, like how Sam Darnold said out there on the field. But it's just like I said, it's his rookie year. This is the first time we got an opportunity, but it is definitely some issues over there. And not only is he gone, Aaron Jones, they done put him on the IR as well, man. So that offense that with all that talent over there, it's got some struggles. And the Falcons is going to, based off how they played and how they played the last 2 weeks, they could be a problem. They could be a first round playoff team, maybe go a little bit further, but that's about as far as they going. They ain't that dumb. I didn't see that. I don't see that right now to be saying that they're gonna be like giving people trouble in the NFC.
Right, right. Now, okay, let me kind of bolster my reasoning for the question, right? Let's do a quick top five in the NFC as it pertains to the five best teams.
Okay.
Philly or Green Bay at number one. Number,
Green Bay is number one right now. That's
okay.
all I'm
Green
saying.
Bay, Philly, Detroit. Would you agree?
I ain't wrote Detroit off yet. They still there.
Los Angeles, Rams,
Okay, I put them there over the Falcons and all the other stuff.
Tampa Bay.
Baker know how to win, man. He
Okay,
doing what
so
he got to do. That's your five there.
okay, and this is the reason why I bring up the top five. If Tampa Bay is one of the top five teams in the National Football Conference thus far, albeit just 2 weeks, Atlanta could have and most likely should have won that opening game. So Atlanta is much better than that 1-1 record. Atlanta is much better than we historically view them as, always crumbling in the biggest moments because of Bijan Robinson, because of the confidence that Penix has, because of Pitts and his ability to play multiple positions and have an impact at multiple levels. And because of the tenacity that Raheem Morris has, both on offense and defense, to where we are not afraid to take the chance. Atlanta going to be a problem, even though I don't want them to be a problem. They're going to be a problem for somebody this year. Next game, very same team we talked about, Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling down to H-Town to take on a Houston, Texas team that came off of that week one loss against the Los Angeles Rams and were predicted to at least beat, well, they were favored to win the AFC South in many, many cases. They are now 0-2. Again, two very tough losses to two very good teams. All three of these teams were playoff teams last year. All three of these teams could be playoff teams this year. Time still will tell. This game ended in an exciting way, just like most of the other games we've talked about, Griff. You said Baker always finds a way to get that dub here in the past 4 or 5 years. He's hitting his prime in his career. Which one of these two teams goes furthest this year, based off of what you've seen thus far? Records aside, I got it. The Bucks are 2-0 and the Texans are 0-2. But which one of these two teams can actually go further in their conference?
I still say the Bucks, man, and the reason why. What I seen with the Texas got a good defense, man. I got to give it. I mean, the way Will Anderson and Tua and the other guy, the way those guys stink, they playing pretty good defense, man. The problem with the Texans is again with Joe Mixon not playing, they don't have no type of running game. I still see a lot of C.J. Stroud having to. He did a lot. He did a lot more running than I done seen him do in a long time, and it's because he just don't have nobody to get the ball to, man. And he don't. The offensive line is just not that great. I still see the Bucks winning that division, so that's why I still see the Bucks going further. The Texans haven't showed me anything to show as of yet that they gonna even make it to the playoffs. To answer your question, I see the Bucks going farther than the Texans.
Okay, I would agree. But the Texans defense is the best side of the ball for that team early on this season. But that's, you know, 2 years ago, C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and once he gets back and having a full backfield based off of Mixon being sidelined for now, he'll be back soon enough.
Yeah.
And we know we make our money in the middle of the season, right? Once Halloween to New Year's hits, that is where football is really won, where it's that grind on a weekly basis. So we shall see, but I got the Bucks
Let me,
as
but let
well.
me say this too, man. Hey, you can have the best defense, but defenses get tired, and if the offense ain't doing anything, guess what? They start to get exposed, and they better start doing some winning because you can get all those guys back, and sometimes it could be too far gone that even the locker room start to get disrupted. So, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, you're right. And Troy, you may. It's too early to tell, It's too early to make that assessment, but the comment that Minnesota gambled on the quarterback and lost. Uh, it's again just 2 games. He'll be out for a couple of weeks, recover, go over his first couple of weeks of play in his head, and McCarthy may come back a whole lot better after this injury. Atlanta's defense is better than in previous years, but we shall see in their midseason run. Now, Troy, you talked about leaving the show earlier, man. Your Raiders, they played a game last night against the best team in their division, most likely the best team in the AFC right now, the Los Angeles Chargers, and Justin Herbert is actually looking like what many people have believed him to be over the past 5 years. A 6'6", 250 quarterback with a gun for an arm that can put it anywhere on the field, has the protection to do it, has a run game to support his, what I would say, desire to get it to Keenan Allen and all of the other receivers, and a head coach that knows how to win. No matter how you feel about Jim Harbaugh is a winning coach. How confident are you in the Chargers, Griff, to not only dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs, but to come out of the AFC above Buffalo, come out of the AFC above Jordan's Baltimore Ravens in the long run?
I think of the teams that you just named, the reason why the Chargers is where they are right now, it's because of coaching. And I think if we get to that point where you got Jim Harbaugh going up against his brother
Mm.
and the coach up in Buffalo, the team that showed me that's the best coach team right now is the Chargers. And the reason why Herbert is playing the way he playing, just think about who his coach was in previous years, who you used to get the business to all the time, and compare it with the mindset that Jim Harbaugh has, that we don't have to put. The reason why he's looking good because it's not all put on him right now. Harbaugh is a guy that have a good defense, be able to run the ball, and we throw the ball when we need to throw the ball. And I see them as as we just talked about, one of the top five in the NFC. Well, you know what? The Chargers is one of the top five in the AFC. And if they not number one, they definitely in the top three between the Ravens and the Bills.
Now you're right. You're right. And funny 30-second story about the Who Dat team that I have yet to speak on this year. They have a new head coach, right?
Yeah.
With that new head coach, the new head coach hires his staff and brings in who he wants to be his OC and his DC. Guess who the Saints defensive coordinator
The,
is?
the former head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
So look at the Saints defense to look like the Chargers defense over past years. Anyways, no, but back to this game. Hey, I'm I'm impressed, Troy. Just to give the Raiders a little bit of just due. Other than Geno Smith throwing an interception every opportunity that he got, that the Raiders could actually make some noise in your division this year. The Chargers do look good. The coaching is going to be a deciding factor when it comes down to the playoffs. You're absolutely correct, Griff. And oddly enough, the last time Big Bro and Little Bro hooked up in the Super Bowl, it was the younger brother who came out on top and was perceived as the better coach at that time. But right now, John Harbaugh's coaching capabilities are definitely being called into question. So, Chargers could, and especially if they luck up and become the number one seed, where everything has to go through La La Land, and weather is not an issue in the playoffs.
Hey, you ain't got to worry about nobody turning lights off and stuff in the middle of the game. That, that's what happened the last time they played each other.
True
Remember,
that.
the lights went off in the Super Bowl.
Hey, hey, you know how it is in NOLA, bro. Things happen sometimes.
Ooh, man.
Hey, speaking of Super Bowl candidates, uh, before we transition into week 3, at the end of Friday night show, we asked whether or not John Harbaugh, if the Baltimore Ravens do not win the Super Bowl, should he lose his job? I am in the camp of I believe he should. Unless there is an injury, a key injury to one of the key players on the team that is considered to be a difference maker. With the level of talent that the Baltimore Ravens have this year, have had last year, and the previous year, where they were the best team in 2023, the best team in 2024, and entering 2025 are the best team. If they do not close this door and get Lamar his first Super Bowl title, his third NFL MVP, because it will require him having another MVP season, in my opinion, to outplay Buffalo again whenever they link up again, outplay Kansas City, outplay Los Angeles, outplay any other AFC team, whether it's the coach, whether it's the Steelers within their own division, whether it's another AFC West team like Denver, to make it to the big dance and ultimately win that title. Do you believe that John Harbaugh should lose his job? I say yes.
Oh
Did
yeah,
we
man.
have the poll results for that, Jordan? What?
Hey, the
Y'all say
nose,
no?
man. The nose.
So y'all are okay with mediocrity. Okay, I got it.
I'm shocked, man, because normally in this generation that we live in now, it's all about that. I don't care what you did for me last week. You know,
I know,
coaches
right?
coaches don't thrive in this generation like they did back in the
Hey,
back in the
hey,
day.
coaching in the NFL is like coaching in the SEC. It's put up or shut up,
Yeah.
because this is a $1 billion corporation and billions of dollars are left out on the field when we don't get a dub. But that's just me. Thursday night's football game, man. Before we transition into the NCAA,
Okay.
we have the Miami Dolphins, and the schedule is kind of worked out for them this year. I guess they flip flop every year when they play that cold weather game in Buffalo. But they're traveling up to Buffalo to take on the Bills. On paper, this game should not even be discussed. This game should not even be close. But traditionally, the Dolphins do play the Bills close. Now, we remember last year, this was the game that Tua got hurt in early on in the season, and they went on that slide mid-season where they lost 6, 7 games in a row, and then when he came back, they went on like 6, 7 game winning streak. Mike McDaniel supposed to be a whiz kid as it pertains to offensive play calling. The offense looks like straight crap. They have not found an identity, which for the life of me, I don't understand why. They basically have the same team they had last year. I don't get it, but there's just not clicking yet this year. Can they go and upset, which will be the upset of the year so far, a Buffalo Bills team that may be looking ahead on short rest?
Hey man, they need Al Pacino to come in the locker room and
You give them that speech.
start talking about it. It's just inches.
Hey, 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 the
The way,
viewers, they are
hey
looking
man,
for
hey,
every inch.
yeah, man, I'm a big fan of. I just always be one of them Alabama boys to perform at the next level, man. But Miami this year, man, I don't know what took place in the off season, but they just look out of sync, especially on the offensive side of the ball. It really looks bad on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't see them beating the Bills in this game right now. Miami got a lot of questions, and that's another coach that probably then lost his locker room, and we might not be seeing at the end of the season. That's all I can say about that. Miami does not look like the Miami team that of old that can give teams problems, and I don't see them even with how it went last year. I don't see them giving the Bills any problems.
That's an interesting question. Is Mike McDaniel actually on the hot seat if Miami doesn't overperform? Because we don't really expect anything out of Miami, right? We expect them to be 10-7, 11-6 if they're good. Go to whatever place that's lower than 40 degrees and lose in the playoffs. So is he or should he even be on the hot seat if they have a subpar season like 8, 9, 7, and 10? I don't think he should be on a hot seat as a John Harbaugh should be on a hot seat, but that's just me. But as for this game, yeah, Buffalo should win this one. Josh should be able to pass his stats
I,
so
I
that
think
he can win.
I think Drew. I think it's a lot going on in Miami that we just don't know about. But looking at that sideline, looking at those players, something is not right. And yeah, I think he's going because that. Remember the history of the owner. I think he will probably be in the hot seat.
Okay, all right. We'll definitely see how this game unfolds on Thursday night, and we'll be right back here on Friday night to talk about it. Man, I tell you, the most exciting thing every single weekend is Saturday between 12 o'clock p.m. and 2 o'clock a.m. Sunday morning, where college football is played. And in the Southeastern Conference, there is no game that can be taken for granted. We all know that now. Every single team has the ability to knock off a conference powerhouse. Every single team has the ability to travel, travel to somebody else's den and completely walk out of there with that dub. But it is the fashion as to how you walk out of there with that dub. Troy, don't you run. Stay right here and explain what happened to the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks who welcomed the Vanderbilt Commodores into Columbia, South Carolina, William Bryce Stadium, Gamecock heaven, and summarily got beat down 31-7. And I don't want to hear Sellers got hurt. He took a face mask to the face mask and got concussion. I want to hear that. Y'all got beat down, bro. Mm-mm. Griff, how surprised are you with this result? Not that Vanderbilt won, because we both said Vanderbilt can win this game,
Mm-hmm.
but how dominating they were. And can Vanderbilt be a threat in the SEC come late season?
Well, I'm gonna say yes. They definitely gonna be a threat. I mean, Vandy is not the easy win that Nick Saban talked about in the past no more,
They
and they
did.
proved it. That them beating Alabama, they proved that was not a fluke, and actually they only got better since that game, and so that coach then developed a culture down there in Vanderbilt that they really truly
That
believe that they.
quarterback.
I mean, and again, first of all, the quarterback is old as you and I, and he's arguing about trying to get another year eligibility.
Man, he
But
just drove it down there.
but still, it's the culture, man. You because I
Yeah.
mean, I wasn't expecting this game to turn out. And you're right. The excuse that most of the Carolina fans is gonna say that Sellers got hurt, but they was losing before Sellers got hurt.
Mhm.
Vandy looked like the more dominant team, the more aggressive team, the team that wanted to win. It didn't look like South Carolina was at home to me, and that was shocking. So yes, the outcome of this game, because we both, even though we said Vandy had a chance, we both picked Carolina because they was playing at home. And Vandy proved that we not an easy win. We not just the smartest. We not the Harvard of the SEC no more. We come to play ball. And if you line up in front of us, just know we gonna hit you because they play smash mouth. They don't have no big names. They ain't doing no spectacular plays, but the defense play hard. And old boy is like he like Johnny Football, man. That joke is slicker than oil, man. I just don't know how he be doing it, but he do it.
Yeah.
On
We
Fabio. I'm talking
believe.
about Fabio.
All right. We believe. That's it. We believe in everything that we say. We believe in everything that we believe we can do in Vanderbilt. They are going to be a problem. South Carolina, can they bounce back from this? Of course they can bounce back from this, right? They most likely will bounce back from this. They are still a formidable team, but
Troy
you do
said, Troy
have
said he going, Troy said he going out on a limb, and Vandy is winning the SEC.
Troy must have fell and bumped his head. Like, slap yourself for that. What? Come on, man. Going out on a limb. There you go with that. I won't even say that. That's nothing nowhere near Negadodama status, man. You lost yourself with that one. Come back to reality, Troy. Come out of the darkness. All right. The next game we're talking about is going to produce the Southeastern Conference champions. Wow.
you you talking about Troy, boy? You better come out the dark.
What? I
It's
know
obvious.
that.
It's
Tigers,
boy.
at least at this point, in this year, I have more confidence in the LSU defense than I do the Alabama defense. I have more confidence
Woo! That
in
boy, you just said a
the
mouthful.
offense than I do the Alabama offense, even though they ain't bust a great yet this year, in my opinion. They've won 3 games. Okay. Florida came down to Death Valley, and I talked about it on Friday night that, hey, a wounded animal is a dangerous animal. And I'm not comparing the Florida Gators to an animal, but, the Gators came down to Baton Rouge in hopes of not only shocking the LSU faithful, but shocking the college football landscape and kind of getting some footing before they go into the meat of the hardest schedule in the country over the next month. If you have not seen Florida's schedule, pull it up and see who they got on their agenda. This weekend, they got the number 4 ranked Miami Hurricanes, and then they start their SEC or pick their SEC schedule back up with Texas, who could or could not have a starting quarterback. I don't know. Georgia, they got to play Florida State later on in the year, so they have a gauntlet of a schedule. But the Tigers, man, I want to spend like 30 more seconds on them. Defense, one of the top 5 in the country, depending on the category, depending on the scheme. Offense got a lot of work to do. My coach got a little emotional defending his offense this weekend. But it was a legitimate question because the offense is not living up to what the expectations were coming into the season. I got it. It's still early. Fix it against Southeastern Louisiana this weekend. Y'all better win by 50. But you think, one, will Billy Napier make it past this gauntlet? 2, will LSU head into the matchup against Alabama undefeated?
One, Billy Napier won't make it through this gauntlet. Oh, it is unfortunate.
Yep.
2, LSU should be undefeated by the time they play Alabama. That's when they're gonna get that L. That's when they're gonna get that L. And your coach gonna be on there, hyperventilating and stuff. with y'all Heisman Trophy quarterback, who I'm still not impressed with.
I'm not impressed either. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed.
But
But hey, he has the capability. We'll be there.
he
All right.
hey, he has potential.
He has potential. He has potential.
He
So
has
congrats to those Tigers, man. Go Tigers. Way to represent. Beat the Gators one more again, and see them again next year. This next game went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, man. I tell you, the Tennessee Volunteers came this close to representing and defending home field. Josh Heupel had a phenomenal game plan. Had Georgia on the ropes early, having them down 21-7 in the first half. But again, defense and big plays late in games. That's why you say you got to play for 60 minutes. All right. Al Pacino said the victory we are looking for is not only in the inch on the field, but in the second on the clock. And every step matters. Georgia got helped out, I believe, in this game by Tennessee's mistakes. But how entertaining was this game, and will we see these two teams in the college football playoffs?
Man, I would tell you that it's definitely I see both of these teams being in the playoffs. Tennessee really was, Georgia didn't have an answer for Tennessee in the first half of that game. But Kirby, that guy being who Kirby is, matter of fact, Kirby was able to make adjustments, and that's what I love about him the most, and that's why I missed him at the University of Alabama. Him being able to make them daggone mid game, and I told Karen, I said, "Don't worry, Kirby gonna make the adjustments." Karen was, hey, she said she smoked a pack of Benson and Hedges. She had she said she had some
Not the Benson and Hedges.
She had a whole pack of Benson and Hedges, some
The 100s. The
some
100.
Mad Dog 2020. Karen said she was but I said I know Kirby gonna do what he gotta do. He made the necessary adjustment. I'm gonna tell you where Tennessee lost this game, man. It's amazing how coaches can do stuff sometimes that hurt their team.
Mm-hmm.
They froze their own kicker at the end of the game by calling the timeout. The boy had made the kick. And I said, you know what? Why did they just do this? I said, man, they messed around. And sure enough, boy, when I say I said, this moment is just too big for this kid right here. And I mean, when he went, he didn't even come close to the goalpost. I said, yep, they done lost. Hey,
Yeah.
how that commercial where the Joker had that whoop, you almost had it. You almost had it. That life insurance or whatever. They was
You got to
telling
be
it.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Tennessee, we said this though. I mean, in Georgia, what Tennessee did, and I told you, I say, because Tennessee play that fast offense. If they get a good that first play on that drive, it's gonna be struggles. And they had Georgia's on their heels. Didn't know what was going on. But as always, Kirby know how to make the necessary adjustment to keep his team in the game.
Yeah, Tennessee lost this game. Georgia did not win this game. Tennessee gave this game away at the very end by freezing their own kicker, by mismanaging the clock in the last minute when you had, 30 seconds and you're on the 20-yard line. Uh, you couldn't figure out how to position the ball, where to position the ball.
That was
Plays
that last
positioning.
pick.
Come on, Mr. Hypel, you should know better, right? Understanding that you have a very young, very inexperienced kicker who has never been in a situation such as this in front of 100,000 people in the stadium and millions watching. So you put them at a disadvantage and it ended up costing you. But you're right, both of these two teams shall be in the college football playoffs, barring injury. Now let us move on to another shocker that was not a shocker, but was an exciting game that the home team I picked to win and defend home field. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish welcomed in the Texas A&M Aggies. And this was an exciting game, man. And it came down to the very end and the Aggies came out with a dub. I know that you picked the Aggies to be able to travel, represent the SEC. Does this knock Notre Dame out of the discussion, or I've already heard it and seen it? As long as Notre Dame goes undefeated, the College Football Playoff Committee will definitely allow a 10-2 team into the college football playoffs because of their losses, like you say, came early in the season and against top tier teams, both in Miami and in Texas A&M. And on the back end, how do you foresee Texas A&M performing over
Well,
a few
first
months?
of all, I told you, man. I thought I knew I knew I didn't know the game was going to be this close, but I did know Texas A&M was going to win the game. Notre Dame, not only for them to make it 10-2, because it's going to be a 10 and 2, it's going to be some 10-2 teams in this playoff. And people need to be prepared for this. I promise you that. But in order for Notre Dame to be one of those teams, the rest of their games have to be. I mean, they got to blow teams out, and they got to hope and pray that Texas A&M and Miami don't fall. And they got to, and not only that they don't fall, but they beat everybody that they play, and they beat them impressively. Because then those two losses will look pretty good on their resume. And
Right.
it's kind of crazy that we say losses look good on people's resumes, but they do, depending. Like in
Here it is.
my Alabama team, at first I said, man, damn, we lost to Florida State, the worst team in the world. But now look how Florida State playing right now. And Alabama played them earlier in the season. Alabama keep on doing what they're doing, and Florida State keep on doing what they're doing. Guess what? You'll still see teams like that, but it will be two. I say at a minimum, it's going to be two teams that got two losses on their record that's going to be in this playoff this year. And Notre Dame just got to win big, and they got to hope that the teams that beat them continue to do what they're doing.
I honestly believe it's going to be many more than two. Why?
Okay.
Because a lot of the playoff teams are going to come out of the Big Ten and the SEC, and those teams have to play each other.
Yeah.
So the best have to play the best, and the best eventually still, depending on how they lose against that other big name school, they're
Yeah.
not going to get dropped out of that top 12. So we're going to see more than two. We're going to see maybe half of the field with two losses, in my opinion. So phenomenal game, exciting game. Notre Dame does have to go on a tear to have a shot. But if they go 10-2, even if half of those wins are just we just won, we played to win the game, they'll still get that consideration because they're the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Great games in week 3 of the college football landscape. In week 4, it only gets better. A lot of cupcake games, but we have some big ones that are going to begin to separate the cream of the crop from those who are just pretenders in the 2025 slate. Looking forward to that. And to me, before we close out the show, uh, biggest game of the NFL this upcoming weekend just so happens to be the last game of the upcoming NFL weekend, where you have the Detroit Lions traveling down to B More, Jordan's B More, Karen's B More, to take on the Baltimore Ravens. And whether or not those Ravens, who put up 40 points like it ain't nothing, can they stop a team who just hung 55 on Chi-Town, but also has the ability to put up 40 plus points like it ain't nothing? What are you looking forward to on this game next Monday night when the Detroit Lions, the 3-1-3, travel to B More to take on Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and company?
I look forward to seeing a high scoring game here.
Mm.
And the reason why I say, because both of these defenses been struggling this year. That's all I can say. And with that being said, again, don't want to get no predictions right now because we're gonna say that for Friday. But what I expect to see is a high scoring game. I expect to see, on the line side, they're gonna have definitely a heavy dose of Gibbs, Montgomery, and St. Brown like they did this previous week against the Bears. And hopefully Jim Harbaugh realizes, hey man, in order for we go not the way of Lamar, but we go the way of King Henry. Because it seems like they always in the big games when they forget about him. And so for me, the Ravens, it's gonna be a high scoring game, it's gonna be a good game. But I ain't gonna give my prediction yet. I say that for Friday.
Right, right. And I do agree that it is going to be a very, very entertaining game. I'm predicting the score to be up in the high 30s, 40s as well. Both of these two offenses should have an enormous amount of success, both in the run game and in the passing game. I look for Baltimore on the run side to become more established with Derrick Henry. I can imagine with every one who has an opinion about Baltimore Ravens football sharing that opinion so passionately over the past couple of weeks as to why the Baltimore Ravens still have not figured out that they have one of the two of the best runners in the history of the league right there in the backfield, that they don't utilize them in the fourth quarter. That is where you win the freaking game, in the fourth quarter. I understand why Todd Monken does not understand that, and he's been in the NFL system for 2 years with this team. It is Jordan. Y'all, I don't know, man.
Like I mean, as much as Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator, at the end of the day, that's
I
why we
got
have a head coach. I have to
it.
blame it on the head coach. The head coach had to override some of this stuff.
Yes, I agree.
Run the ball. I remember Nick Saban doing that to Lane Kiffin. Like, why are we throwing run? And Nick got Lane right there next to him, telling him to run the daggone ball. Run the ball. It don't. Stevie Wonder could tell you to do that.
I understand. But what I am looking for from the best game manager in the history of the National Football League, according to some people, Jared Goff, to lead a offense that, like I just mentioned, hung 50 on Chicago, to have very similar success against a Baltimore defense that has no real difference makers to where they can take over a game, in my opinion. Now, they have a lot of very, very, very good players, Pro Bowl caliber players, but not those that are shutdown corners, not those that are fearful linebackers or linemen that just come across that line and bulldoze opponents on a regular basis. Their defense has to come together and take what they learned from this game with Cleveland, and see if they can stop an offense that is most likely going to run through them like a hot knife through butter. But looking forward
You got it right this week. You got it right this
Yes,
week.
sir. Yes, sir. All right. Another big game that I wanted to kind of touch on before we close out the show for the night is a rematch from last year's NFC divisional round game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams are traveling to the Eagles. This is going to be a big one early on to kind of set apart which are the best teams in the National Football Conference and in the NFL overall. What do you believe needs to happen from the Rams' offensive perspective to travel to Philly and take advantage of the gaps that the Philly back four have early on in the season with those two big receivers that the Rams have?
You got to be able. Sam, I mean, I'm going to say Sam Bradford, but the quarterback got to be. I mean, I went way back, bro. When I said Sam
That's
Bradford, man,
way back.
apologize. I truly apologize. But
That's a St. Louis Rams.
man, bro, I'm telling you, when I told you I like had to take a nap before I got on here, I had a senior moment for real. But honestly, Stratford, he has to be able to exploit because if for me, and people talk about the Eagles and their secondary, but I think that's one of their weakest spots on the defensive side of the ball. Still, even with some of the names that they have over there. And with the receivers that Bradford have over there, I think if they can establish a run game against that big old offensive line, I mean the defensive line that the Eagles have with Jalen Carter and them, it could be a long night for the Eagles. And on the Eagles side of the ball, this could be one of those games where the tush push is not going to be the thing that save them. You're going to have to be able to get the ball into AJ and Devontae's hand. But I'm looking forward to seeing this game because however the Eagles play, they always just figure out a way to win. And people continue to beat up them and talk about their stat line and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, for me, I'd rather have a winning percentage than the stat line any day. Because Dak normally had a high stat line with my Cowboy, but the winning percentage don't be the same. I take the Eagles winning percentage. So I'm looking at this being a very good game, but believe it or not, it might be a closer game, a more defensive game than we think because the Rams, even though Sam Darnold is not there no more, they're still a pretty good defensive team, and so this game could easily come down to who has the ball last.
No, you're absolutely right. Right, and beginning on the Los Angeles side of the ball, I look for Stafford to incorporate both Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams and take advantage of the gaps that the Philadelphia Eagles back four has, back five has, back six has, and use Williams out of the backfield to methodically work their way down the field to keep one Jalen Hurts and that offense off of the field, two
Hey,
chew up clock, and three wear down that Philadelphia front four. Right now, I got it. Philly does a lot of rotating, but that is the stronghold for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you start to wear that and weigh on them, eventually they get tired in the fourth quarter. That's how the Rams keep the game close, at least from my perspective. For the Philadelphia Eagles on offense, it is being able to establish a run pass balance, right? You made mention that forcing Jalen Hurts to use the passing game, even though that they haven't in the past two games. Again, just because we don't doesn't mean we can't.
oh,
This
we
needs to
see
be the game that they implement that, in my opinion, where it is Saquon with a heavy dose of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goddard and
if Gardner is back because Gardner is out right now. Let me answer this YouTube question right fast, Drew, because we got a YouTube follow and I don't want to lose him, but Philly
okay.
Mike asked this question: do I start Drake May over Jordan Love? And I would tell you if that's a fantasy football question, I'm gonna stick with Drake May. And the reason why, because he is the heart of that team, and his numbers gonna still look better. Because Jordan Love has the potential every week to be out of the game by a certain time because of that daggone defense. So as far as if you asking me, Mr. Fantasy Football himself, I'm tearing everybody up that line up in front of me. If I had to choose between Jordan Love and Drake May, I'm going with Drake May on the fantasy football side.
It depends on the defense that those two teams are facing on that weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the Packers are playing this weekend yet. I don't know who the Pats are playing. So depending on that defensive approach that defense has and how aggressive they are, and whether or not Drake May reacts to blitz as well, especially if that is a blitzing defense,
Yeah,
then
very good.
that kind of should give you your answer.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the chat that we needed to address?
Uh, as I look in the chat right now, I don't see no big questions. on here. I wanted to make sure I hit that. I won that person that came
Good
up there.
question, though. That's a good question.
Great question. Hey, again, I don't think we pulled
Jordan,
up the stats for the fantasy football, but and I know because Jordan kind of salty right now because he didn't got the break beat off of it, but I would like at next week to start looking at these stat lines. So we can start, at least give me something to brag about. I can't see that right now; it's too small. But just
go
know,
on, go on, blow it up, Jordan. Go on, blow it up. Let everybody know that Griff 2-0. Because that's what he want everybody to see, that he 2-0.
hey, hey, I also beat Troy in our other fantasy football league, and he was projected to blow me out, man. I beat the brakes off Troy in that one too, and so I know he wasn't able to sleep at all. South Carolina lost, but his fantasy football
Raiders
team,
lost.
yeah, it
So
hurt his feelings, man.
yeah, he'll be all right. Anyways, hey, congratulations on your early season success there, my brother. It's only been 2 weeks, and I
Hey,
know that
hey, hey,
you're used to looking.
hey, look, Drew. Look, like I say in my book, don't talk about it, be about it. You got to celebrate the small wins, baby. You can't wait till you get to the finish line to be celebrating. You got to celebrate the small wins. And right now, I'm celebrating the small win, being 2-0 in the fantasy football league.
That's what I'm talking about, my man. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, if you don't have it, make sure you get your copy of. Don't talk about it. Be about it. By the cultural best-selling author Gary Griffin, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting read, giving you a guide on what to do with your life and how to fix yourself. Job well done, man. Any closing comments for the roundtable family before we log
As
off?
always, man, I feel like Russell Simmons. Every week I say the same thing, man. Thank y'all for being here and good night.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
only the seasoned people know what I'm talking about when I say that. That's from Def Comedy Jam. Russ used to come out there at the end of every show, and that's all he would say. And but again, I appreciate everybody for showing up every week, giving up me and Drew a little bit of your time. Y'all engage in conversations inside the chat, man. Keep it coming. Make sure you invite somebody, as we say every week. And I look forward to seeing everybody here on Friday evening.
Yes, sir. Phenomenal show, ladies and gentlemen. As Griff mentioned, appreciate all of the engagement in the chat, the commentary, the feedback. Whether or not your team was able to come out of this weekend unscathed and is still undefeated or shows potential heading into week 3 of the NFL and week 4 of the NCAA, the season is still young. There is still hope, even for 0-2 teams, 0-3 teams. It can turn on a dime, as Al Pacino once said. So keep hope alive. This upcoming weekend, a lot of very interesting games, a lot of big games, especially on the NFL side of the house, where you're going to have playoff teams colliding once again. And I'm definitely looking forward to that engagement on Friday night. So please come back and join us again on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and TikTok Live. And as Griff mentioned, please share the show content with all of your friends, families, and invite those that who may be interested in the topics that we are discussing to join the show. Y'all have a great and phenomenal week. Y'all be safe out there wherever you are in this world because it is a crazy world and a lot of things happen on a dime. Take care of yourselves. Do something nice for yourselves. Take care of your family. Do something nice for your family. And if possible, and given the opportunity, please do something nice for someone that you may not even know because it just might be the best thing to happen to them on that particular day. Y'all stay safe. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be breezy.